All right, Dave.
Cody.
Welcome to Coffee Talk. You've said you've been watching a lot of these, so you kind of know the drill. Do you want to just introduce yourself a little bit to people who may be watching that don't know you?
Yeah, so I'm David Miller. I've been coming to the village for about 3 or 4 years now. My wife Christian and I started coming here. We say, made a wrong turn on the way to work. Put a lot of air quotes around that. We know it wasn't wrong.
Was it actually a wrong turn?
It was actually a wrong turn in her
She was going-
directions going to work, and she drove past, and we were looking for a church because we grew up in different faiths, but wanted to find something for when we got married and when our son was born now. So we made the wrong turn, and ironically enough, I went, "Hey, they have coffee. I'm in." Not really being like super spiritual or in touch, like I was a believer, but didn't really have a great walk yet with God. And then we started coming, and I was like, oh, this is really awesome. And started getting involved immediately with Lights in the Village and other things because I can't do anything halfway. If I'm going to be involved, I have to go all in or I'm going to get bored and walk away. That's why I tried so hard at my pass-fail class in college, too. It's because I'm like, if I don't pay attention and actively try, I'm going to not do well. But it's just been rewarding ever since then, just kind of rolling with everything and then meeting wonderful people like yourself.
Aw, that was nice. Thank you. Okay, I didn't know that's how you ended up here. So you said that you saw we had coffee. Did you see it on the sign or like on the web? Did you look it up after that? Or
Christian brought it up on the website at home, and we started looking into it, like what service times were, what services, the service times, what was going on at the church, the general belief system. And we actually started with a starting point class with Nick,
amazing.
which was great, and he did a wonderful job answering questions and just working with everyone in the class. So we naturally were like, okay, cool. And I mentioned hanging Christmas lights with my dad, actually. So I was like, cool, I can hang Christmas lights.
Yeah.
And did not touch a single Christmas light for Lights in the Village
Was
for
it
any
a-
of the years I did.
Was it around Lights in the Village that you came for the first time?
It was October, actually.
Okay.
About a month before our wedding. So we came, did the starting point class, kept coming until our wedding, and then we honeymooned. And 2 days after our honeymoon, we came here to meet with Nick and Andy about Lights in the Village and what they wanted me to do. And then we actually immediately went to New Jersey that night to adopt our puppy Belle, who's now 3.
Oh.
Yeah, it
Nice.
was a wild ride for that 2 months, but
Yeah.
it was awesome.
So you got married right after you started coming here.
Yep.
So like, I guess like talk a little bit about how church plays a role in your marriage.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
So for us, it's a really big part. Every Sunday we're trying to come or we're trying to live stream. We are in the young married couples group with Harry and a whole bunch of other people. You had Christian Scott on 2 weeks ago. We're in his group. We talk a lot about our marriages, how to grow stronger and support each other as a couple, as a married couple, but also as married couples around each other in God and in Christ in our journeys, because we're all at different points in our walk.
Yeah.
But then, with our son now, Callum, when we traveled for his second birthday, he was asking about his Bible because we read his Bible every night with him. He loves it. He comes to the daycare here. So church is huge for us.
Yeah.
We
You
try
guys
to.
are here like all the time. Like I see you like it's almost every day, right? And I feel like I see you here.
Well, Christian's always dropping off and picking up for daycare because it's on our way to and from work.
Right.
And then we're going to be here a lot more coming up, leading Upward.
Right. Okay.
So being the new commissioners for Upward as the non-pastoral people, we're really excited. We have the biggest league we've had since COVID now. It's really exciting.
That's great. So, what made you want to like take that step into leading Upward? And yeah, so like that's a big step, right? We met a few months ago and we talked about the ways that like you want to grow the league and all this stuff, but it's going to be a lot of work. So, what made you want to take that step? I guess.
So for me, I grew up playing sports, and my younger brother, I'd help with his lacrosse team because my dad coached for him. Because my dad didn't even know lacrosse, and he goes, well, David's playing it, so maybe I'll coach for Jason. I know enough to start with the younger kids through watching him. And so I would help out. And in my mind, some parents wanted to watch their kids play, because they don't have enough experience. That is gorgeous.
It's
Thank you. It's okay. It's called value. Some parents want to watch their kids play because they don't have enough experience or life's hectic. Whatever the reason is, I don't judge. So I was like, you know what? I'll coach. I want to help out. And every year there's at least one kid that I can point to and go, you were my aha moment this year. Be it an experience they had or a moment with them. They could be a normal attender here or not. And from there, I just wanted to see it get better and better and better because every year was a new experience. I'm like, okay, how can I touch more than just my team each year?
Can you share one of those aha moments that you've seen in a kid, like?
Which year do you want?
Because any year. Your favorite story. Your favorite story.
Oh, there's no favorites. It's like picking your favorite child. So I'll go with last year's actually.
Okay.
This little girl named Jacelia, she had just gotten adopted by a family, and they wanted her to play with her brother, and they were on the same team. And she didn't have a ton of confidence starting the season, but she was happy to be playing. So we were like, cool, we can work with that. So we built her confidence. She got better at, the basics, dribbling, passing, and all of that. She played mean defense. Like, for some reason, every year the girls on my team play such hard defense. The boys keep up and play good, but the girls are just, like, locking it down. And last game of the season, the goal is for every kid to score a basket, and she hadn't scored yet. But she was getting closer every game. So I was like, we're going to let her see what naturally happens. So we got to the point where we have to intervene a little bit. And she finally, we're at the last quarter, still hasn't happened. I get everybody in, and I get just the boys for a second. So it was 4 boys on the court and her. And I go, guys, remember last night at the parents versus kids game where all of the kids had to score for you to beat the parents? And the boys look at me like, yeah. I go, Jacelia hasn't scored today. And they give me this look of, we got you, coach. We know what to do. They have wide open shots. Instead, they're passing it over to her. And when she scores that basket, she ran off the court in tears to her grandmother, gave her a big hug, comes back on the court to me for a hug. I'm like, you would have thought I won the Super Bowl and was going to Disney. Like, I get so excited for these kids just to see their success. And hers was amazing. Like, she participated in devotionals, and then to see the basketball part finally click through in the end.
Yeah.
Oh, it was amazing.
Now, you have a story.
That's so good.
I know this story just from being around, but somebody got baptized from one of your teams.
Yep, Jack
recently.
Bender.
You want to tell that story
it was
too?
So magical.
Like the spiritual story of that.
So Jack's an interesting kid, and I mean that in such a lovely way. First year I coached him, I had him for 2 years. One of the boys, but really worked with his teammates well. It didn't matter if it was the boys or the girls, and just was passing around, playing a good game. You could tell he was really into the devotional side of Upward, because every practice we do a 5 to 10 minute period where we talk about a Bible story, or we follow the lesson plan that Upward gives us. Allie picks wonderful lesson plans for us, so I'm so excited for this season's. But he was involved in those and doing well. And the next year, I saw this growth in Jack where you good? Where he was just like in this super mature element. Like, I do a passing drill where you call out to your teammate to learn their name for the first week or two, so that way everybody learns each other. And people are getting his name wrong, and he's like, it's okay, it's Jack. Like, he's being super patient, and I'm like, I do not expect that out of a second grader right now. Like, y'all are energized and ready to go, and he just has this calm patience around him. And he's, still in devotionals and moving, and I'm like, this kid is awesome. Mm-hmm. The boys are learning, the girls on their team, and they're like, I don't know about passing to them. They don't always catch it. But Jack's like, I don't care, I'm passing to them. And he's like, I'm like, something is moving in him. Yeah. And then at Splash Fest, for the last day, I came by to help with cleanup, get the worship center ready for Sunday. And I see and hear him getting baptized, and I was just so happy. His mom and dad are awesome. And then just to see that moment.
Yeah.
And then his sister goes up next, and he's standing there next to her the whole time. I was like, this is everything you could want in the Spirit moving in someone's life, and then some.
Dude,
it was so magical.
Exciting.
I loved it.
That's something
I was so glad to see there.
For sure. So, what does that do for you in your personal walk with Jesus?
I think it just kind of, I'm always energized, probably because I drink a lot of this stuff, but it gives you a new perspective.
Okay.
Because, yes, I can look at it from my perspective as an adult, as a married person, looking for my son. But to see someone else at a younger age take that on and see them moving, I'm like, okay, whether I'd have handed that through devotionals with him as a coach, or if he did that on his own, it's like, what does that mean? That means he's taking this huge step, and how can we support him? And just, okay, cool, he's there. How do I then support the kids next year so this year on my team? Or how do I continue to support the kids who weren't on my team and have now aged up to 3rd and 4th or 5th and 6th? George Bristar, he was on my first team I coached, and he's
Georgie.
if you're around here, you see him.
Yeah.
He's great. But so he's in the 5th and 6th grade league this year, and I'm like, how do I still reach George? Not just on Sunday when I see him here, not just when I see him in passing on Saturdays for Upward. How do I still impact him? And that's where Christian and I this year are implementing halftime devotionals with Upward.
Okay.
So we're going to bring all the teams together on the court, if it's 3rd and 4th or 1st and 2nd, 4 teams, come sit down for a 5-minute devotional at halftime.
That's awesome.
Coaches are still going to get their time. We're just going to be like, hey, first half we did this, great, let's do this, second half. But I think it's just going to really recenter the room as a whole.
Yeah.
Not just the kids, but the parents in the room.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be really worthwhile.
Yeah.
I think that's how we, at a very basic level, continue to support them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, cool, maybe this is what Jack needs. Because if he hadn't gotten baptized and was like, what's that next nudge that's going to get him there? Maybe it's his halftime devotional. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Who's going to be giving the devotionals? Do you know yet?
Right now it's me.
Okay.
I'll take whoever. I know Pete Gallagher, he actually said he offered to host one, and now he's actually coaching a team with his
Okay.
granddaughter.
Nice.
For 2 of his granddaughters. So that's,
That's
awesome.
awesome,
I'm so
yeah.
happy with Pete. And then, anybody who volunteers. So if a pastor says, hey, I want to come hang out on Saturday and do this, awesome. But I'm trying to ask pastors too, what do you think kids need to hear? Nick gave me a really powerful one. He said, just bring God in the room. He goes, take him from, we as adults view him as God on this pedestal, God up here. But kids can really meld with something
Yeah.
in their midst. And it's like,
Yeah.
how do you make that there? So I think it's really going to be a lot of, how can we tie it into the sport they're playing in the moment? Because I
Yeah.
think that's how you reach the most of them in the room. Or like day-to-day experiences.
Yeah.
One of the best first devotionals of the season is, hey, how was your Christmas? Did you get everything you wanted? Well, if you didn't, how do we work with, you can't always get what you want, but you get what you need.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like that's
That's
God.
great. Yeah.
We want things as people, sure. But he doesn't just say, here's what you wanted. You got to work for it sometimes. And it's like, okay, I got what I needed.
Dude, that's awesome. So, it seems like ever since you've gotten to Fairview, but mostly just since you've gotten married and like your life is kind of taking root here in Eagleville or wherever. I don't even know where you.
I'm in
what city,
Lansdale.
what town you live in?
I'm right here.
Every 2 minutes is a different town, so I know you're close by. But
Oh, yeah.
ever since you kind of are planting roots here, God's been teaching you a lot. You've been growing a lot in your faith. You've been taking next step after next step after next step.
Trying.
Yeah. Is Upward the next step for you? And like, what is God speaking to you in life right now? What are you learning from God?
Upward is certainly the next step. I think it's... Oh, that's a really good question. He's always teaching me. And I feel like this is true for everybody. Do you have your eyes open? Do you have your ears open? It's like Pastor Dave says on Sunday, with the arms out,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get
yeah.
more out and up as opposed to closed in. And if you have everything open, you're going to learn and listen and see more.
Yeah.
For me, Upward is that next step. I think for Christian and I, it's really working together, seeing our specialties, and then seeing how they overlap and giving each other chances to grow. Like, I thought she had no interest in doing the announcing the kids' names and nicknames and going on. She's like, no, I totally will happily do that, especially so you can run out with your team, because you haven't run out of the tunnel with your team in 3 years because you've always been announcing the names. I'm like, yeah, because I have fun and the kids love it. Like, it's about the program. It's not about me. But seeing her go, hey, I'll gladly do that. You run with your team, have fun. I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think it's also working to spread his word more. Been trying to do that more, especially like in my job. So when we had David Akers here, I know I have football fans in the office. So I was like, guys, you should come out or at least tune in online. Like, we have David Akers, and then just talking about how great he was.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the fact that David Akers, fantastic kicker,
Yeah.
but his testimony and hearing him preach,
Yeah.
was
Great preacher.
beautiful,
Great preacher. Yeah.
beautiful.
That's great. I want to go back to, we can probably end on this, but I want to go back to one thing you said.
Yeah.
You said you don't want to do anything halfway. You want to do everything all the way.
Yep.
What about church is all the way? Like, how did you know that, like, it was more than just coming on Sunday morning?
So I grew up Catholic, and to me, you could hear the Bible, and I certainly believed in God and in Jesus and that everything was true and in Him. But but it was a routine. I always was like, okay, when we get to this part of service, sit, stand, kneel, sit, kneel, communion, then we're about done.
Yeah.
Here, when I explain it to people how we do service, I word it like a TED Talk.
Okay.
It's like, hey, here's this idea about God, and here's what the Bible has to say about it. Here's the way this is supported. Here's the way that we can look at this. How can we support each other too? Especially with the 4 C's, you know. So it's really nice to see that, and I think that's what really drew me and got my attention. And was like, okay, this is more than routine.
Yeah.
And so to me, if you're going to do that, okay, cool, I'm not doing my routine. Routine would be just coming on Sundays. Well, if I'm making the commitment to not be routine, I have to break from just Sundays. All right, so let's get involved in small group. Let's get involved with Upward. Let's get involved in, and for everybody that looks different. Could that be, hey, I'm going to get involved with, you know, the moms group. Shannon Wilson started a stay-at-home moms group from our small group. Because, I mean, we have, what is it, 3 going on 4 sets of parents in our married group.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
really cool. And it's kind of cool because we have married couples who are like, we just got married. We're starting this journey as married together and following Christ. And then you have people who are like, we have our second kid on the way.
Yeah.
So it's seeing the differences, but how can we work and learn from each other too? So that's kind of like the all in is, you know, just going for it.
How has Jesus like transformed your life as church leaves routine and goes into like a way of life? How has Jesus transformed you? I know that's a big question.
It's huge, but I remember my first job. I was a field service engineer. I was driving anywhere from 6 hours a day to, if I was lucky, it was an hour a day.
Okay.
Needless to say, I was not a happy person driving because I was like, I just want to get where I'm going and get home. Goodness, people, move.
Yeah.
But I prayed. I was like, you know what, God, I'm ready for something new. I'm ready for that next step. And he gave me a job 20 minutes from home, and it was awesome. It was perfect. I started getting calmer. I was able to do more with church, get more involved. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, this is the next step. And I'm like, my merit of being a good employee, being a good scholar, like, got me the job on paper. But there's more than that here. You know, God is always moving in our lives.
Yeah.
And when you open your eyes, you open your ears, you know, he got me in the right spot. He put me in front of the right people to be able to help me move to that next step. Yeah. And as I've moved, you know, to different careers, and especially the one I'm at now, I'll be 7 minutes from home someday. Yeah. So I can more easily support, you know, Christian. I can be there for my son if we need to. I have work from home opportunities. So if someone's sick, I can be home to take care of them while I'm logged in and handling emails and stuff for the day. So it's really nice that he's provided me with those opportunities and put the right stuff in front of me and blessed me with the sight to see it and go for it.
Right. Dude, that's awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Man, thank you so much for sharing. I think this is going to be great for a lot of people. So
honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on.